Welcome to another episode of Pels in the Blender. It's your boy Davis coming to y'all on this Sunday, about to be afternoon, pretty much. Give you a little quick episode, man. Get y'all started on this day. It's a Pels game day today. Whoa, what's good, Jaden? Appreciate you tapping in, bro. Yeah, it's a Pels game day today. Who they played? I think they played the Spurs. Is it the Spurs today? Yeah, they play the Spurs today again. It feel like we play the Spurs a lot, man. On the road against the Spurs, coming off a win. You know what I mean? Whoa, what's good, bro? What's good? Coming off a W. You know what I'm saying? So trying to again, man, trying to keep that some momentum going. Coming off a couple losses or whatever. Finally got back into the win column. We saw Herb Jones. Whoa, what's good, Liam? What's good? We saw Herb Jones finally return. There's been a lot of talk about Herb. You saw Saddiq Bey get back into a really good shooting form. Trey came to form. First time you saw Jeremiah Fitz go to the bench, and a couple of those things we gonna talk about. So again, we ain't gonna hold y'all too long on this Sunday, man. People probably just coming from church and got things to do, getting ready for the games or whatever. So we'll kind of breeze through this. We finally getting the win over the Grizzlies, who again was without Ja. It's been a lot of talk about if the Pels would possibly make a move for Ja and all of that. So Ja wasn't playing. They saying he out till the trade deadline. So it's kind of like coincidence or maybe not. If you follow Dotson was saying he'd be surprised after the game the other day, after the game yesterday. Was that yesterday? Day before yesterday. After the game, he said he'd be surprised if like Ja wasn't traded over the next couple days. So it's gonna be very interesting to see if you see that move happen sometime soon. And if so, hopefully it's here to us. I don't care what happens with him. The Saddiq Bey jerseys is ordered. Say, bro, Saddiq Bey was really out there putting on like the man. The man, what was it, 19 points in the fourth quarter, closing, hitting shots. And this is the thing about Saddiq Bey. And it's kind of you kind of get torn in what's happening, because when Saddiq Bey first started playing, like from the first game out, Saddiq Bey has played extremely solid, provided shooting, provided some defense, provided some toughness, provided some just reliability, right? Like that's what this team needs at times, like some reliability. Saddiq Bey is also, he's very young, while people like he seems like an older person. He's only 26 years old. So like considering trading him, I understand why you consider trading him, but at the same time, if you getting ready to go into not a rebuild, but if you trying to compete, depending on what whoa, what's good, Lee? What's good, man? Appreciate everybody. Depending on what kind of like what your actual goal is and how like what you could extend Saddiq Bey for, you could see Saddiq Bey being a really solid player for you off the bench. You know what I mean? For another year or two or three. Those are the kind of players when you get them and you get them in your system and they fit in your system, they fit in your city to a degree. Professional, works hard. You know what I mean? All these this dude's really just grateful to be able to play the game after his injury, and he plays like that. But not only that, he's capable of having these kinds of moments, right? I think the problem that the Pels had run into with like they were believing in Saddiq a little too much. And what I mean by that is you saw Borrego really starting to run offense for Saddiq Bey to a degree, like putting him in ISOs. I think putting a little too much responsibility on him as as if he was like the second or third offensive player. When I think personally, the reason Saddiq was able to get going like that, and not that Saddiq wasn't cooking, because he absolutely was cooking, but Trey was being ultra aggressive and effective. Zion was still ultra, was aggressive and effective. Coming back off, the game where he was sick or whatever and didn't really play. But when you got all of that going, then it allows for your third player to be able to do some of the things that you saw Saddiq Bey do. And then he was hitting all kind of jumpers. He was getting everything you wanted, man. So shout out to Saddiq Bey. And unless somebody offers you, you know what I mean, something something of substantial quality. You know what I mean? Saddiq Bey is the kind of player that you want to have around, and the kind of player you want to have in the organization. So I would. It was kind of like you knew Najee had to go to a degree, and I'm not saying Saddiq Bey and Najee are like similar players, but sometimes you need certain players in the organization to kind of help, unless you saying you about to tear it down. You see that Trey Murphy pop on that injury report about 20 minutes. I did not see that. One person came back and then the one person goes out in the foot. So that's another thing with Trey I had noticed too sometimes. Now Trey has been playing majority of the games. But like after Trey have like really big games sometimes, and he played 36 minutes, had 32 points. You know what I mean? He balled out too. Don't get me wrong, but Trey like late this particular season, and I think it's because they're really not like in competition for nothing. Like after Trey had like some big games, because I can't remember what game it was, but he went damn near for 40 or 38 or something like that, and then sat out the next night. Maybe it was the Bulls game or something like that. I can't remember. It was one of those games he played really well and then sat out the next night. I think it's just like exhaustion and stuff like that. And again, man, the season is typically over. So like I think they just trying to make sure like the players get through the season relatively healthy. So I don't think he really hurt, but I think that's kind of what that's about. It's the downside of taking the star lead that usage is going to wear on you. Exactly. If you're one of the only reliable ones. Exactly. So like Trey has played, majority, again, like you just said, Trey has played majority of the season and it's been, relatively productive. He started off kind of slow, but especially lately, Trey been giving you 30-point games consistently. Whoa, what's up, Kurt? Appreciate you tapping in, though. Trey has been solid pretty much all season, and his game has been like consistently on a better level as of late. It's more so what it is that we've been expecting to see from Trey. So it's kind of like that's what it is. Whoa, what's good? Yeah, Herb Jones defense equal wins. So this is the thing. Let's go ahead and discuss Herb. But to close out the Trey point, Liam, like exactly like you said, man, the more they play and are consistently playing, that's what's required of star players, great players. Like you have to be consistent and available, and it's hard. So like I think if we weren't 11 and 11 in infinity, basically, I think you would probably see Trey play and stuff like that. But like giving them the day off, it don't really make too much of a difference at the end of the day. Now, this the thing also, if it's highly unlikely, realistically not a goal, but if they were internally saying we trying to push for a 10 seed or something like that, these are also games I wouldn't want Trey Murphy to miss. So that's kind of where I stand, but I don't believe that they actually trying to push for the 10 seed. I think they're trying to build chemistry, see what they have, figure out the coaching, and build towards next year. I kind of think that's the plan. Herb Jones finally returned. There's been a lot of talk about Herb, to be honest. And again, bro, Herb, if you look at his night, 25 minutes, 0 points, 0 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 turnovers, and 3 fouls. So where it's kind of like, if you look at the box score and whatnot, even if you watch the game to a degree, it's not that Herb don't have impact. It's not that Herb isn't a quality player. It's hard to like quantify with Herb with this particular team. It's hard to quantify. This is also a really good point. Missy needs more minutes. Yeah, like he played 21 minutes. He was 4 for 9, had 8 points, but you could see, especially if Herb is going to play and stuff like that, like let's stay on track. Let me stay on track because this is also a good point. Herb coming back does allow one for them to play somewhat of a bigger lineup, the lineup that honestly they're probably more familiar playing with anyway. Like CJ had been the smallest player that had been playing recently and stuff like that, but CJ is a veteran player. But if you play Trey, Z, Herb, Saddiq Bey, and Queen, it's like, all right, that's more so with this team. Whoa, what's good, Just? Appreciate you tapping in. that's more so in line with how this team has been playing the last couple seasons. To be honest, they haven't really had a small guard that plays like the style that Jeremiah Fears plays. If you think about Queen to a degree, like it's a little different. But if you go back to like when JV used to orchestrate and stuff like that, JV used to be able to be at the top or be on the post and then pass and do, kind of create. So this team is more familiar playing with bigger lineups than playing with like smaller, more ball dominant players and stuff like that. Like they're accustomed to having Herb on the floor and stuff like that. And they're also probably accustomed to Herb not really, I don't want to say not doing much offensively, but they're accustomed to being able to account for what Herb does or doesn't do offensively because they get the boost defensively. And also Herb does all of the little things. You know what I mean? I would absolutely hire Rajon Rondo if he was interested in coming here. I don't know if you would make Rajon the head coach, but I would absolutely consider bringing Rajon in on the staff. I don't know how y'all felt about the Herb Micah minutes, but I really liked it. Herb Micah, Missy, really good minutes in my opinion. I think, again, that's how you have to play. Like Micah has been consistently trending upwards. I think he can't shoot to save his life, but he's similar to Herb, like a solid defensive player. He's really good on ball. He's a stronger player, whatnot. Like it's hard to bully lineups like that, especially when Missy could be more athletic, and like cover for those guys. Realistically, that's probably more similar to when they used to play like Herb and Najee or Herb and Dyson or Dyson and Najee, something like that. This team over its history of being successful had been a more defensive oriented team. Now, whether we consider them to be a great defensive team or whatever, like there was somewhat of a recipe for what had made them successful, right? And you saw lineups like that. Like you would see Herb, Najee, Z, Trey, right? And those teams be able to keep, because the offense comes and goes and all of that, you had to play that kind of style, like a grimy, gritty kind of game to be able to keep things close. And then hopefully you got an opportunity for what you saw yesterday. Saddiq Bey get hot at the end of the game. Trey play big. Z play big at the end of the game. And hopefully you could close. But during those middle stretches, you got to muck the game up. And players like Micah, Herb, older players, high IQ players, stronger players, like all of that stuff makes a difference. And I think that's why you see the game. I think you see the games feel a little bit better than what it is when you're trying to go through, like when you're trying to lean heavy offensive players, but those players are like terrible defensively and your offense isn't being productive. That's the one thing that's like a really tough situation to be in. Well, like if you playing like a heavy offensive lineup, right? Like let's say the lineup is something like Fears, Poole, Trey, Queen, and Carlo, right? Like a lineup like that. Well, in that particular lineup, like you would obviously think like Trey, Poole, Queen would be your offense, but Queen's not a good defender, great defender at all. Carlo can do some things, right? But Carlo's still not a great defender. Trey's not a great defender. And then you still have issues offensively. So if any of them aren't just like the physical force or like something that like nobody's really demanding a double team or nothing like that, they're not really creating mismatches or nothing. So then that's how you find yourselves, if they're not shooting relatively well, that's how you find yourselves in some of the offensive lulls that they go in when they do try to go heavy offensive lineups, and then they can't stop nobody. So the lineups like these that have like Herb Micah Z or Herb Micah Missy, something like that, historically for this particular team, I think that's why they've been successful. And it's not to say that Herb's not necessarily a good player. It's just kind of valuing where do they stand with Herb and what could you get for Herb when you're talking about possibly trading him. That's kind of where I'm at. I like the Fears minutes off the bench and his 3-point shooting is improving every game. Bruh, I've been saying all season that them pivoting to Fears starting was like not necessarily good for the team in a grand scheme of things. Now, he has been solid, don't get me wrong, but I think in the process of starting Fears, as long as they've been starting them, one, I think I don't want to say hindered his game, because all of that experience is going to help him in the long run. I still believe in the talent, and he is one of those types that learn from mistakes and stuff like that. It's just the NBA season is hard, bro. Like it's just one of those things. But if he comes off the bench, he'll have an opportunity to really focus on what his role is, like lean into his responsibility. And also in the midst of that, you kind of broke Jordan Poole, right? Jordan Poole had a different type of confidence when he was a starter. It was a different kind of responsibility when he had, like, because you talk about like decision making, and it was like, man, his decision making has gotten terrible. Well, I think there's a different responsibility when you coming off the bench in limited minutes and might not play, and we're counting on you to be there at the end of the game. We counting on you to get off to good starts. We counting on you to, not lag defensively and stuff like that. Like, you can't even say that the Jordan Poole experiment, as far as a starter standpoint, like survived whatever. He was benched by game 4, right? He was benched by game 4. Then he got hurt for an extended period of time and still came back and came off the bench. So, like, I think what they were doing in the offseason just completely got wiped out, which is why when the season started, they just pivoted. They just pivoted to something I didn't think they were actually prepared to do. If they were going to start, if they wanted to start Fizz, you should have just started Fizz. That's just my opinion. But I think Fizz coming off the bench actually puts him in a better situation, in a better circumstance, and it allows him to play against backups. It allows him to not be so worried about what's going on. You also can manage his minutes better. You can manage his matchups better. I just think Fizz coming off the bench is better long term for the organization and for him. Whoa, was good, Lou. Appreciate it. Had to take a little mental break. These dudes suck. They still not good. Like, even though they got to win, even though you got the win, they're still not necessarily a good team. Like, the schedule coming up, they got the Spurs, the Thunder, the Grizzlies again, and the Sixers to finish the month out. And it's kind of like, I don't know what games they go win. They got the Spurs today, and if Trey possibly don't play, I don't know. But we play the Spurs close all the time. Like, could I see us beating the Spurs? Absolutely. But more than likely, we lose. Then we got the Thunder after that. Like, again, I'm never taking this team to beat the Thunder. I don't care who plays. So I'm looking at that as an L. The Grizzlies right now, we're 2-1. Well, 1-2. I'm sorry. We 1-2 against the Grizzlies. So do we expect them to beat the Grizzlies? I'm not necessarily sure. If there's a move made somewhere between them, maybe, right? Maybe you could see, like, if the Missy for Ben Mathurin move is made, or if there's a Jose move or something like that, then I don't know, possibly. But until then, like, I still don't see anything to actually. I don't see anything to actually believe that something is going to change necessarily. Like, right now, they're still a bad team. Borrego seems also very dependent. Like, most coaches are very dependent, but a lot of the games have been winnable games. And, like, I think you could have been. I don't think it took Herb coming back to send Fierce to the bench, but that's kind of what it took, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, I just want to see some consistency in but that's not really what happens with this organization. Herb Jones equals wins. His points don't equal plus minus. Team chemistry is underrated. I agree with that. I'm not saying Herb specifically equals wins. I'm saying because Herb, how do I word this? Because I don't want to be disrespectful to Herb to a degree. Herb is a positive player. Don't get me wrong. And I think Herb is a good player. At the same time, like, Herb, if you, it's not just about like the plus minus and numbers and stuff like that, but like, I feel like Herb is replaceable. You know what I mean? I feel like Herb is replaceable. And I feel like you could get value for Herb. It's been a lot of times you watch Herb go out there and, like, just as much as he could win you a game, I've absolutely seen Herb lose us games. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen Herb not make great decisions. I've seen Herb shoot terribly. Like, the best thing about last night's game, not last night, well, the other night when they played, as opposed to her being 1 for 9 or 2 for 11 or something like that. He was only 0 for 3. Like, if we could get, and that's the main issue I have with her. Like, if the shot is falling or if it's feeling good, by all means, bro, do your thing. But the reason I think the other night they were so successful is he wasn't ultra aggressive offensively, like looking to score the ball, right? And if he could do that, now I think you're talking about a different player, or like a player that could be maximized to a degree. Because when Herb is out there taking just as many shots as like Z respectfully, or just as many shots as Trey respectfully, or you like any opportunity that Herb shoots, and I'm not saying he can't shoot at all, but like if you got an opportunity to get the ball to Trey Murphy and Herb Jones decides to shoot it instead of getting the ball to Trey Murphy, that's a possession that's won for the defense. So like if we can get all our players to like buy into that kind of mindset, I think you'll be able to see them have moments and nights like the other night. That's just my opinion on it. So it's not that the chemistry don't matter. I think they played a more optimal lineup for their style of play and for the players that they have out there. Like, you don't have to like realistically with that star lineup they played, the only person you compensating for on defense is Queen, right? Like you only compensating for Queen. You're not compensating for I don't have to compensate for Jeremiah Fears defensively and Queen defensively and Trey when he's out of position, even though he's been a little bit better defensively and stuff like that too. But if you got the lineup that they played, Saddiq, Queen, Missy, Trey, and who was it? Herb Z, Trey, Saddiq Bey, and Queen. With that particular lineup, it's like better communication, more switchable players. They all somewhat the same size / strength and whatnot. I just think it's an easier style for them to be able to play that game and be more competitive. PV shot is starting to fall. It is starting to come along. Shout out to him for putting in the work. If you think Herb on the mic on the floor, I think if you go Herb and Micah on the floor when you try to go small ball, no Herb, Trey, Z, Micah, Saddiq, Zion, I think you could. I don't think you could play it for long stretches. But again, even with that lineup, I like if you run in point Z, then you might have a chance, but you can't do it. Like you could run that kind of lineup in stretches, basically. But I think you could see some success out of that because, again, they're all switchable players. Nobody's really overly small, and they should be able to outrun anybody. Like if you put a big out there, you probably get killed on the boards. Don't get me wrong, but you should be able to outrun and get people in transition. You should be able to defend like that. That could be a realistically a good lineup. I think you need Micah to continue to shoot a little bit better and Herb to look a little bit more like himself with his previous shooting. But if you could, that's absolutely a viable lineup. Gotta limit the Poole minutes. He could be a spark, but don't let him drive the bus past a couple stops. I think the thing with Poole, man, I think Poole is just really in a tough situation, to be honest. I think he came here under the assumption of one thing and then it turned into something else necessarily. And that's why part of me just don't think that him going to the bench as early as he did was positive if you were still trying to win games, in my opinion. I think they and he got hurt. So that's also not to mention he got hurt. And also physically, he just doesn't look like he normally looks. Like he just, to me, just looks a step slower. Like if you go back and watch any of the old Poole videos, like Jordan Poole first step is quicker than most players. It just seems like he can't easily get by people. And I think that's hindering whatever it is he got going on with his game. The 3-ball has started to get better also. And also, man, the team was losing a lot while he was out. Say whatever you want, but the winning percentage with Jordan Poole playing and healthy is better than it is when he's not. So that's just a fact at the end of the day. Can we win tonight? Yeah, they can win. I don't know if they will win. It's hard to say that this team is going to win any night ever. You could say what they should do based on the talent on paper, but to say, hey, we gonna win, no. I did a lot of that, man. I predicted this team to win 50 games, and I still firmly believe that if they would have went about the season the right way, I think it was doable. But you saw Willie Green blow the first 2 games and then immediately, in my opinion, hit the eject button on the season when they sent Poole to the bench. Earlier, the extended minutes of Poole not playing, it just started to be a shit show from early on. Herb is a better PG than Fizz, but Herb must shoot less. Too many Poole shots too. I can't. Poole only shooting the ball like 12 times a game, like 10 times a game. That's not a lot. He historically shoot the ball 16 times a game. So like only shooting the ball 10 or 11 times is really not that bad. I don't care for the Trey logo threes. Shoot them holes. I don't care. Trey come to the Trey is either the star or the second star on this team, bro. Like you gotta, I ain't gonna lie, you gotta live with those. Stars do shit like that. Saddiq at the 5, since he is more a post player than Z. You talking about with that small ball lineup? Yeah, like you honestly just kind of running it interchangeably, to be honest. Interchangeably, and then it's just kind of like however it works out. But you can run it that way. That's how they do it anyway. But I'm not looking for, if you run in that lineup, I'm looking for point Z anyway. Have Herb as a slasher, secondary decision maker, and then you let Micah kind of play the wing, cut when necessary, Trey do his thing, and you could have Saddiq Bey be your inside presence. Absolutely, it won't hurt. Herb and Trey from corner deep with Trey's leap. He can play all 3 levels. Mike and Herb in defense. Yeah, you could do it. You could do it. It's just you can't do it for extended periods of time, I think. Was Fizz starting the Joe Dumars call? Apparently that's like according to everybody and what they're like heavily hinting at, that's the case. That not just Fizz necessarily, but like it's been insinuated basically that like the front office, which is Joe and Troy, have been kind of like nudging or heavily like what's the word, not advising, or like kind of like making it apparent. It's like, hey, how about you make sure that Queen and Fierce start and close a lot of these games. So my thought, not pushback, but my thought on that is when Joe Dumars had his interview when they initially fired Willie Green, he said that there will be no restrictions on James Borrego, and Borrego could run his team however he wants. So the part that I'm having the issue with is that if that's the case, right, and let's say you lean on that, then James Borrego has to take responsibility for everything that's happening this season, which is why you see me being like, James is not good, right? Because some of the decision making, I'm just questioning everything. Now, if that is also partly true, then it can't all be James's fault. If let's say he wanted to bench Fizz and there's no room for him to bench Fizz, or if he doesn't want to close with Fizz, if he's not allowed the freedom to make those decisions or make whatever decision that he wants to make, then I kind of gotta look at it with a little bit of grace almost, because if you're not allowed to go down with the ship however you want to do it, then it's kind of not your fault. Not completely, but it just takes a little bit of the responsibility of James Borrego off. But like as of right now, I just don't. I mean, what is JB's record, man? Is he like 9 and 20 something? You know what I mean? It's just not good enough. Poole be driving me crazy with the decision making. Again, I think part of the decision making is, and I think about a lot of this stuff from like a human level, man. Like if you were when you were brought in was supposed to be the 3rd or 4th best player on the team, right? Like we're gonna lean on you to be like to have that kind of responsibility. And then very early in the season, like normally what happens is how teams go or how seasons go. bro, you know how long it take a team before they decide to change the starting lineup up? Like that's not based off injury, to change the starting lineup up that they have been working on all off season, right? Like you would at least get 10 games of the starting lineup before something happens, right? Or you just start with whatever lineup you're gonna start with out the gate, out of training camp. Bro, it literally was by game 4 they had decided to bench Poole, essentially to bring Poole off the bench. If you was gonna do that, you could have just led with that, as opposed to having him speak to the teams, trying to show leadership and all of that, and then say, "Oh, this is what we thought would be best for the team." How you know what's best for the team? You 4 games in. And then in 2 of the games, I'm sorry, in 3 of the games, 2 of the games you had leads. Damn near you should have won. You should have been 2-0, and then you was down. And then in the Boston game, you was down what, 5 or 9 or whatever in the fourth quarter before they blew that one out. And then he had never started another game. You know what I mean, for the stretch since then. So as much as we want to talk about Poole, and I do not think Poole has played well or played to his standards of what I've seen him play like, right? But at the same time, if you look at it from a human, like the human standpoint, one, if he was hurt, you already somewhat limited to what you're physically able to do compared to what you've always been doing. And then 2, if the coach is already not good, this is some of the worst coaching he's probably ever had, ever been a part of, and that's for all of the players. That's another thing, right? Thirdly, they spent all off season working on a particular plan, and then like if you getting ready to drive 10 hours, drive 80 hours, and then in the first 5 miles of the trip you detour and do something different, everybody else would be looking like, if I'm the dude, like if they was like, hey man, you're gonna drive the first leg of the drive, right? Yeah, you got the first 2 hours. 5 minutes into the drive, they're gonna be like, nah, dog, listen, go sit in the back, bro. We'll call you when we need you. You'll just be like, bro, what the hell? We had a plan. I had been preparing myself to do this. So then when they sporadically be like, hey man, you want to drive for 5 minutes? You be like, fuck no, I don't want to drive for 5 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? No, y'all got it. Like that's kind of how things work. You talk about the 30 million and the professionalism and all of that, but like at the end of the day, dog, it's like we humans. And if you play a sport, everybody who's played a sport, especially team sports, know people and know players like that. That's like feel like they have more responsibility than they should. And then it's different if the team was winning. Like you could sacrifice for like a winning team, but then again, it's kind of like, dog, what does any of these dudes accomplish? If I'm Jordan Poole, I'm still looking at it like, dog, yeah, I'm coming off the bench for Steph Curry. Jeremiah Fitz, like, why do I have to come off the bench for Jeremiah Fitz? That's just my point on it. And I'm not even sitting there saying that JP played well necessarily, but I just think they gave up on it way too fast, and then he's getting more of the blame than I think he's getting more of the blame for this than he should, in my opinion. Can we get Queen some strength shoes in the off season? Yeah, he got to get a lot stronger. The Pelicans gave up on Poole 4 games in. Absolutely. I want to keep giving Poole a chance, but I'm consistently reminded of the Knicks game and the Pistons game with the alley. So, like, this the thing about the alley, right? Was it a terrible decision? Absolutely. Absolutely was a terrible decision. Was that the only play that cost them the game? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, I'm not overly worried about like some of the bad decisions in the game, because like, for example, Poole had stretches where like right when he came off an injury, right when he came back from injury, you saw him starting to like be effective, right? Start to be somewhat effective. He had a couple 20-point games right out the gate. When they went on the 5-game winning streak, if you go look through the 5-game winning streak, look at some of Poole games. Poole was playing okay. It was never and it's not to say that Jeremiah Fizz shouldn't have been starting, but it was never a option or possibility for Jordan Poole to like have a consistent role, right? Like they've even in those games from game to game, they've been like, it's not like Jordan Poole knows, look, I'm gonna get 25 minutes a game. I'm gonna get 20 minutes a game. It's all dependent. Now, again, I understand people like, well, if you make bad decisions, then of course we're gonna sit you down. But shit, everybody making bad decisions. Like the team is still not good. You see other players doing things just as bad, if not worse. A lot of these dudes can't defend. A lot of these dudes have like don't have the responsibility. And then again, shout out to this comment. Poole like the 19 man off the bench. I think they're putting too much blame on what Jordan Poole is and what they've made him right now. Again, by game 4, you put him on the bench. You already diminished, in my opinion, the role and the responsibility. Okay, that's cool. Then you started diminishing the bench minutes for Jose. Now, I don't care, and I like Jose, don't get me wrong, but when Jose started getting more minutes than JP, I'm just kind of like, I didn't see that playing out the long way. I didn't see that playing out like the right way. Like in the long run, I just didn't see that being beneficial. The way they handled this whole season, in my opinion, I just think from a personal standpoint, I just didn't think was the best way to go. And in my opinion, it's showing in the results. Like it's showing in the losses. The grace I'm giving him is Willie benching him. The constant reminder of Draymond. Yeah, don't nobody want to let the Draymond thing go, bro. Nobody want to let the Draymond thing go, bro. Like he gonna have to like do something to Draymond, or he gonna have to do something to somebody to like kind of clean that up or whatever or something, because Willie benching him early, I think was that, and then just the, like you said, the constant reminder of the Draymond shit is just not, it's not fun. Poole and Trey dance moves not working. I believe they should dribble less, pass more. The ball has energy. Absolutely, but that's just basketball in general. That's basketball in general. But again, man, they all of them not making good decisions. But I think part of that is they're not put in the best situations to be their best selves. Part of it could be due to injury, but also part of it is if you want to play the rookies, right? The rookies go through what rookies go through, right? And respectfully, they're not like Cooper Flagg, who's just versatile, a defense, like neither one of them are defensive players at all. So you can't just throw them on a court and say the offense will make up for itself, because defensively they could do a couple things. Even though Jeremiah Fizz is athletic, he ain't VJ Edgecombe level athlete. That's just, you know what I mean? Just a physical beast on the level of like VJ Edgecombe athleticism look like Tyrese Maxey out there, how he runs and like some of the plays and stuff he makes. Like some of those players you could absolutely understand, like, listen, we gonna start this dude. But I'm not saying that our rookies don't have upside and they don't have ability and that they shouldn't be playing. I'm just saying when you're leaning on rookies, 2 of them in your starting lineup, it's hard to just say that you're gonna get wins, because playing rookies don't typically lead the wins. It's just not the way the NBA works. Like you got to think like almost half of the starting lineup is rookies. So it's just kind of like it's just not a good product, not a good recipe. Absolutely didn't cause a loss, but anytime these mean tweets are making fun of us, they're using Poole. I feel bad for him, but then I watch and I'm like, yeah, you're not doing us no favors. I agree, he not helping himself with the way he playing. But I don't know. We'll see about the Poole thing. That's just kind of where I'm at. With the Poole thing, we'll see. I still believe that Poole has. I do not believe he is as bad as he's playing right now. I think part of it could be he's still injured. They asked him not long after he had came back from the initial injury, if you remember in one of the post-game reports, and they were like, yeah, this is about to be as healthy as you've been off season. And he was like, yeah, I'm as healthy as I've been, and essentially he was like, it's no excuse, which means to me what he said was, yeah, I might be healthier, but I'm not 100%. Like, Poole first step don't seem to be there. And with the first step not being there, I think you see him compensating with some of the other stuff that you see him doing. If Herb Jones did not play in the last game on Friday night, we would not have won that game versus the Grizzlies, because wanted to come back, took the lead, usually have lost, but Herb defense at the end won the game. Listen, like, having Herb absolutely helps. But also what I think helped was having Herb back. Herb was only 0 for 3. He wasn't 2 for 11. Like, if you look at Herb shooting, though, Herb shooting like almost 30% from 3, but he's shooting them holes. Like, dog, like, if you can manage it that way, that's when I think you have when you get some of the true value in Herb. And I think Chaz made this point before too, when we talked about if you put Herb Jones on like an OKC type team, right? Herb Jones would be perfect for an OKC type team because they got all the offense in the world. You ain't got to worry. They know who the scores are. They got an abundance of scores. Like, you could just come out and do what Herb Jones did the other game. If we can put ourselves in a situation to where that's all Herb got to do, shoot when you wide open, like, make them be honest and make them respect it. But if I'm going to get 36 from Saddiq Bey, 32 from Trey, 24 from Z, 12 from Fears off the, like, you know what I mean? If you're going to get that kind of production, then yeah, like, Herb can be what he is. The problem that we have with Herb Jones is that, and it's not even like the problem that we have. We need too much from Herb to be his most effective self, in my opinion. But if you get Herb to do the things that he does well and only those, and that's not to say he don't need to shoot at all or be a threat at all, but the offense cannot, like, he can be so bad sometimes offensively that it supersedes what he does defensively. That's the point I'm trying to make. Translation to GV, Jared McCain is available. I would take Jared McCain. Jared McCain before the end, like, he can't even get minutes over there. But Jared McCain, if y'all remember, he was on pace to be rookie of the year and all of that before the injuries. I would at least kick the tires on it. Like, if you imagine, I don't know what your roster gonna look like in the future, but like, if Jared McCain was your like coming off the bench, giving you the Jose minutes, something like that, you can see a route for that if he looked how he looked last time you saw him play. Absolutely. Poole should probably swing on Draymond next time. Poole, if you reading this, dog, you gotta call his hands out, bro. Sucker punch him or something. The whole league gonna understand why. Take your suspension, do what you gotta do, hit him and run. I don't even care. Like, it's all good. Herb Jones is an X factor defensive glue. I agree. Herb Jones defensively is great. Also with the game the other night, like, there was no Ja, right? And this is what I mean by bringing up there was no Ja. Like, a lot of people, like, Herb in that game was able to be just a defensive beast on just throughout the game. It wasn't a situation where it was just like how we do sometime, or maybe how Willie would use him previously. It was be like, all right, Herb, you got Ja, do whatever you can to prevent Ja. Because recently, Herb had not been doing, the last time we saw Herb do a great job defensively, like in a game, was the Rockets game, right? And he just got a lot of steals and stuff like that. Like, KD still had 30 something. You know what I mean? Like, so and that's what I mean. Like, Herb's defensive genius is more like Ed Reed's defensive genius. It's not Darrelle Revis. Like, Darrelle Revis was, I'm taking him out, clamps, is done. Herb more Ed Reed. I cover everything. I make up for your mistakes. I make big plays, stuff like that. And we could get Herb to do that, yes, and maximize what Herb does occasionally. Hey, man, we need to stop. Go stop that guy. But not being like you glued to him all game. That's your only responsibility. I think that minimizes what Herb Jones is great at, to be honest. And he, like, you're not stopping stars in today's NBA anyway. So if they're gonna use Herb properly, then yes, I think you can see Herb be one of the best versions of himself. It's just sometimes with how our team is constructed and the way that we play, it's just hard for Herb to be the best version of himself. And if everybody loves and wants Herb Jones and is willing to give you 2 firsts for it, then it's kind of like I might have to consider that. Like that's just kind of what it is from a production standpoint. Like, and again, this is the part that's crazy. Herb has been hurt a lot lately, and everybody's like Herb Jones equals wins. Well, Herb ain't been on the court that much either. Like Herb, the last 2 seasons been hurt as much as Zion, and ain't nobody giving Herb no slack or nothing like that. And I'm not saying that Herb Jones is Z, but like if is Herb one of the core people in this team? Sometimes it's coming to a point we need to start holding Herb accountable as well. He need to be held accountable for this badass shooting. He need to be held accountable for his offensive numbers. As much as we want credit him for the defense, we gotta hold him accountable for both sides of the ball. So like, I like Herb. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm just like dying to get rid of Herb, but depending on what you give me back, and depending on where the team is, where's the state of the team, like you could sell me on moving Herb Jones. And if you do I think he's gonna be great? Absolutely, I think he's gonna go somewhere and be productive. But it's the same way I thought with BI. BI went to Toronto, and because their team is in a better situation, it looks as if BI went somewhere and he's flourishing. BI looked the same. BI looked the same. And I think that's what Herb gonna do. Herb gonna go somewhere. He gonna look awesome. He gonna be impactful if he goes to the right situation. If he goes to the right situation, if he goes somewhere and they try to make Herb an offensive engine, or like make him your third best player where I need to get 15 to 18 from him, you know what I mean? Then I think it's gonna be a little different. Any word on Murray? We need a draft pick, make some moves. We'll get ready to close with this with Murray. I don't know necessarily if there's word on Murray, but I'm of the mindset that like, so I think Chaz mentioned this too, man. But like Murray, when the team started out as bad as they did, and the season is essentially a loss. Like realistically, if you DeJounte Murray, what you coming back for? Right? But he should be healthy enough to play. I'm assuming he's either healthy enough to play or he's almost at the point where you could, like, if he was on a contender, you would be hearing word of Murray playing or coming around the team and stuff like that. I think because of our situation, that's not the case. But I think we'll probably get some clarity on the DeJounte Murray situation probably after the trade deadline. I don't know necessarily if he'll get moved, because one of the places they were talking about him going was Milwaukee. I've always said I thought the best situation for him would be the Rockets, because I think they desperately need a point guard. And if he's available to play, he's like probably perfect for what they need. Come in, give him 20 minutes, solid play, work himself back off injury, don't have to work. And then by the time the playoffs come, he could be in a situation to help them make a legit run for a championship. I don't think the Rockets really have a chance without any kind of point guard. So with that being said, I don't know I think if DeJounte has not been traded after the trade deadline, I think we'll probably see DeJounte come back and play to a situation. The only thing I'm anxious to see is, let's say DeJounte does come back, right? DeJounte does come back. Like, you're not starting him, right? So then he's coming off the bench. Whose minutes is he taking? Like, completely. Like, I guess he's taking all the Poole minutes, but then you got 30 minutes of Poole on the bench, like $30 million of not doing nothing. And then what is he gonna take? Jeremiah Fears minutes, right? Like, you're not taking Jeremiah Fears minutes, but do you limit Jeremiah Fears minutes at all? Like, who is X'd out of the rotation with DeJounte coming back? So I think it's just beneficial for everybody if like DeJounte is moved, and I'm sure that's what he wants. But I have no clue what's gonna happen with DeJounte, to be honest. I'm sure he's praying for a trade. And I ain't gonna lie, man. I just hope I just hope we can figure out a way to make something happen and make it work. I hope we make. Everybody says it's likely that we gonna make some moves before the deadline, but we'll see. Do you think Zion has been better with his health and his body has been surprising me lately? He has played 23 straight games for us. For him, I still don't want him to fail. I do think he's been better with his health and stuff, to be honest. And realistically, if you go back to the 49 win season, right? He played, how many games did he play? He played 70 games. He played 70 games, right? And then last season, he had the hamstring injury early and missed a lot of time. But if you listen to Zion in the interviews of last season, Zion wanted to come back sooner, and he wanted to try and figure out a way to come back sooner and play. The problem was the season had already been lost like early in the season, so it was no reason for Zion to rush back at that point of the season, right? So, and then when he did come back, you know, he played well, played hard or whatever. Like he played from January pretty much to March, like January to mid-March. He played a couple months and then was done for the season. But again, they shut everybody down at that point. Last season was just a rough season. In this season, started off, had the little hiccup early with the hamstring and stuff like that. They kind of got that sorted out. And now you see him playing his back-to-backs. He plays roughly 30-31 minutes a game, something like that. They get in the minutes. Like last game he played 33 minutes, right? So they getting the minutes up to kind of where you want it to be. So I do think that they're doing a really good job with Z and him getting his body together. And if you notice, so like I kind of made this point, and I'm glad you asked this question, Jaden, because this is what I think about what's happening with this season in general, right? This is what I think is going on with the season. I think Joe Dumars came into the season, and this season was like the gap season. I don't know what this team gonna be. Joe Dumars didn't promise anything. A lot of people talk about the moves, and the moves were signaling that they were going all in and all that. I never necessarily took it as if they were all in or trying to make the playoffs. But if you told me I got Zion, Trey, Herb, Poole, possibly Murray, and 2 lottery picks, Missy looked good, like, why wouldn't I think that this team would have a chance for the playoffs anyway, right? I never would have assumed that this team just naturally was going to be as bad as it was. But nevertheless, they did turn out to be a bad team. This is the thing, though. With what ended up happening is these are the benefits you got for the season. Because, again, Joe never declared, hey, we're going forward, we want to make the playoffs. We just want to figure out what it is we have and establish the culture. Even when they hired Borrego and fired Will, he was like, listen, we're trying to establish identity and establish the culture, right? But this is what I think they got out of the season. Willie Green is gone. Regardless of whatever you say, and unless you were a Willie Green fan, like, if you had to sacrifice the season respectfully to not get Willie Green on an extension, then that's kind of, for me, that's kind of how it had to happen. I'm going to just be honest, because no, I don't want to lose and stuff like that. But if this team would have had a winning season, let's say this team had a winning season, right? I don't know, man. They make the play-in or something like that. They get into the playoffs or whatever, and then you get a 3-4 year Willie Green extension. I'm sick. Like I'm pissed off. So them starting really, really bad and firing Willie Green, I'm automatically looking at that as a win. Now you get an opportunity to evaluate Borrego. This should have been last year anyway. Everything that's happening this year should have been last year. They should have fired Willie last year. They should have made Borrego the interim last year. They would have had an opportunity to see what they look like, what Z and Trey and all of them look like in the Borrego offense. The defense, they could have had an opportunity to see all of this last season. They didn't. So here's where we are. So we doing all of last season again this season. The injuries, people being out, just thankfully, they've been more healthy than they've been. Also, you got Z in came into the season in much better shape. Had the injury, the oblique injury too, and leading him off. Exactly. and like leaguing to them shopping him. So with everything going on around Z, right? And remember, Z came into the season with the court case and all of that. Shook all of that, been available for the most part, been available. He had his little hiccup, which if you're gonna be fed to stars, right? Wemby missed time and his missed time. Luka missed time. Luka missed like he played like the first 3 or 4 games, and then Luka missed like the first 2-3 weeks of the season. Devin Booker had missed some time. Like everybody had missed time. Everybody had missed time. Hold on for a second too, real quick. So with all that being said, Z has played 20-something straight games, playing the back-to-backs, which they were worried about. He's slowly getting his minutes up, right? Now he's playing 30 minutes a game, 31 minutes, 32 minutes. He don't look exhausted in the minutes. You know what I mean? I think he's strung together. And even before they shut him down last season, that's how he started looking last season, right? So he played the 70 games, had the hamstring. He was playing the games when he came back, and then they shut him down because the season was awful. And then I think partly because of the money, he gonna get to some of the games. When the season started, I thought he was gonna get to 65 to have a chance at All NBA, but that was me thinking it was gonna be good. I'm under the assumption now he just gonna play enough to like hit his incentives and get it. Oh, what's good, Hive? Appreciate y'all. But Z on the season with everything going on, averaging 22, 6, and 3. You know what I mean? It's not bad. It's been a shit season. So if you're gonna give Zion like a lot of the blame, which he's a star and he absolutely deserves. I know a lot of people are like on the it's year 7. What more do we want? Stuff like that. I completely understand. But I also feel like if we're in a situation where this team doesn't easily acquire talent and we don't even really retain talent, like every star we've had, we've lost. A lot of the good players we've had, we've lost. The way forward for them, because I do not believe they're going for a full rebuild, I think it'll be more beneficial for them to keep. I understand why those people are quote unquote untouchables, right? Obviously, if somebody gives you a hell of a deal, you'll move anybody. That's around the league. Like, it's only certain players that are really like Steph Curry. You're not trading no matter what. You're not trading Steph Curry. LeBron, you're not trading LeBron. But Luka Doncic got traded, bro. So obviously Z could be traded. Like, let's just be fair. So I understand that. But what I mean is, a team like this in a city like this, in a market like this, you cannot just be giving away talent, especially as they're starting to figure it out. Realistically, like people saying, let's go through the rebuild. I'm not saying that. I think the process is obviously poorly constructed, right? I think it's poorly constructed. But if you brought in a good coach, in my opinion, if you bring in, I don't even want to say good, if you bring in the right coach and you make a couple smart roster moves, this team can go from being one of the worst into the league to competitive relatively quickly. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't think the roster is worst of the league bad. I just think you have to keep talent and also identify and acquire like some of the talent that people aren't expecting. And like you gotta hit on some of the like Ease for Ben Mathurin, right? Like that's one of the moves where if you add like Ease Missy is more replaceable than acquiring a Ben Mathurin, who was a top 10 talent and you showed could score the ball, right? Shout out to Ivory, man. Ivory been talking about Peyton Watson lately. And I don't know if y'all been watching Peyton Watson, and you probably can't get a Peyton Watson, but bruh, if you could add like a Peyton Watson to this type of team while keeping majority of your talent, like those are the kind of players that you need to be targeted, right? Like that's like it is more imperative, I think, to like if you could get a Ja, right? You already getting ready to move Murray anyway. You trying to move Poole most likely anyway. If you could turn that into Ja Morant for all Ja flaws, because if Ja didn't have flaws, you would have 0%, 0% opportunity to get a Ja Morant. If you could land a Ja Morant who still got deals while still keeping most of your talent, like, bro, it gives you an opportunity. 1, to sell yourself, 2, to be more marketable, 3, to get you, like, it just puts you in a different class, man. And it just makes the team more fun to watch. So, like, I just don't think they're as far away. Obviously, I had them predicted to be 50 wins, but I think the rookies getting this playing time is going to benefit you in the long run. I don't think, like, a lot of people talking about Queen as like a cornerstone. I don't look at Queen as like a cornerstone piece. I do think he's a piece, right? He's a piece, a viable piece that could be helpful to you. But think about it this way. If you added a Mathurin, let's say you added Ja, Mathurin, and Watson, right? Ja, Mathurin, and Watson. And then you talking about a lineup of, and you don't have to give up your untouchables to get that, right? And I still think you could keep Saddiq Bey. You end up with a lineup of like a roster of like Ja Morant and Fears as your guards. Solid, right? And then you end up with Trey, if we talk about forwards, Trey, Peyton Watson, Ben Mathurin, Herb Jones as like your forwards. I guess you would consider Z like a forward too. You still technically have Carlo, because ain't nobody really checking for Carlo like that. Carlo would be like a throw-in. If that's like your first 8 on a roster, and then you fill the rest with good supplemental pieces, bro, you got an opportunity. You got to get the coach, though. You got to get the coach. Do you think the Pelicans would be better with a much better coach with this some teams next season and be on? I think the roster is the coaching terrible. Bruh, even if the coaching staff, this is my opinion, even if the coaching staff isn't bad, right? Even if they're not bad, like, we've been operating under the assumption that they're terrible because of how the results look. But let's just say that the coaching staff isn't terrible. I still believe you got to wipe the coaching staff anyway, just because Joe Dumars and Troy, like, you need to get all of the negativity out of the building. So when you bring in the new coaching staff come in with their own ideas. They come in with their own vision. They come in with their own, they don't owe nobody anything. Everybody got to earn everything, right? Like, and you are really allowed to start from scratch. You're allowed to like hold everybody accountable. And then that particular coach could be awesome. We don't know what coaches could be available come the end of the season, right? Like, bro, JB Bickerstaff, when he was in Cleveland, like, he ended up getting fired from Cleveland. But when he got fired from Cleveland, Cleveland was still a top seed in the East, right? Got fired. That's an easy hire, in my opinion. They struggling with what's the coach in Cleveland right now, man? What's your boy name that used to coach the Nets? I can't think of his name right now. But they struggling with, they talking about him and the coaching staff right now, right? If they can acquire the right coach, like Jason Kidd got let go. Like, Jason Kidd got let go of Milwaukee. Where else did Jason Kidd go? Where did Jason Kidd go before he was in Dallas? I'm not even sure. But when J Kidd got to Dallas, it's not like it changed everything for Dallas, in my opinion. Like, when Rick Carlisle got back to Indy, it changed everything for Indy, right? And that's not even to say that those teams weren't solid teams, but like, if you find the right coach, it just puts you in a completely different situation moving forward. Like, it just makes a difference, man. It just makes a difference. So more so than the play, I firmly believe the coaching, and that's why I asked the question on X the other day, like, what was more important, the coaches or the players? Obviously, the players matter. But if we don't have a Giannis, right? If you don't have a Steph Curry, then you need a great coach. to maximize the players that you do have, or you got to go get all great players, which is not something that typically happens in New Orleans. And people talk about them being cheap, but they spent the higher Alvin Gentry. They spent the highest Stan Van Gundy. They had fucking what's your boy, man? Your boy from that used to be the coach of the Suns, the fast break coach, that coach Steve Nash them, D'Antoni. They had D'Antoni damn near on retainer, and you know D'Antoni was getting paid. Ain't showed up a day. Offense ain't look nothing like a D'Antoni offense. He was getting paid on the side. Brooklyn Nets J Kid. Yeah, like he coached it, bro. He was doing all of that coaching before he went to Dallas. So, and look at Dallas since he got there. Been to a finals, been to a Western Conference finals, then developed Luka, developed Brunson before Brunson left, developing Cooper. Like, dog, you got to get the guy. You got to get he developed Giannis. Dog, you got to get the guy. That's just the way it is. I've been joking with my Pistons friend right now, y'all. Right now, we y'all before Biggest Day. We said, yeah, y'all the NBA development organization, New Orleans, and that's the way it is. That's the way it is. But all that could change with, you know, like you have to have a series of good moves. You have to have a series of good moves. Don't get me wrong. And them giving up the pick, hey, that wasn't necessarily the smartest move. But you can still salvage the situation. You just gotta, in my opinion, firing Willie Green, smart move. You should have did it earlier. You didn't. Okay. You giving Borrego his opportunity. Let that play out. You gotta let it play out. So at the end of the season, there could be no question as to whatever decision they decide to make. There won't be any question about it. Right? People gonna, if they let Borrego and the staff go, there'll be enough evidence at the end of the season to be like, well, why would they hire him? Or he will have enough evidence to go out and get a job and say, well, look, this is what I was working with. You know what I mean? And he'll be able to go figure it out for himself moving forward. So it's going to work itself out however it's supposed to. But you let it play out, and then at the end of the season, you decide. You don't do nothing with Borrego right now. You've already done your part when you fired Willie and you made Borrego the interim. They don't have to do nothing. The only thing they need to be worrying about, roster moves. We looking at coaching at the end of the season, and you don't know who's available. You don't know who's available. Similar to how we ain't know what players was going to be available. If you come out this trade deadline with Ja, I'm happy. If you come out with Ja and Ben Mathurin, I'm excited. If you come out with like Ja, Ben Mathurin, and then something else that don't nobody predict, though, on top of you could possibly, like, it is a possibility that if you put together a decent enough roster or an attractive enough roster with some pieces, right? Queen Fizz, Z, Trey, Herb, I don't know about Herb, Ja, Ben, Carlo, and then whatever else we plan on doing in the offseason with whoever not getting moved, right? You might be able to attract the coach that be able to say, you know what, I'm going to come take a chance, because most coaches do not want to rebuild. Rebuilds mean a lot of losing for a long time. And those dudes' records don't always sustain all that losing, because what ended up happening is when the team started to get it together, the organization typically decides it's time to move on from you. So I don't know, man. But with that being said, the Pels got a game tonight. They play the Spurs. I am not predicting that the Pels win, because you just can't predict they will win, especially if we don't know if Trey Murphy gonna play or not. But man, shout out to y'all. Appreciate y'all for tapping in, man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We coming back for show Thursday with the fan line episode. Me and Chad already putting that out. I'm gonna start putting out some of the clips from that. Everybody be willing to tap in, man. We got spaces for y'all on the show. Come in and discuss, and like we could rotate people in and out if need be or whatever. But that shit was fun, man. Appreciate everybody that joined in on that when that one was cool. And again, we'll probably drop another Pels in the Blender episode, maybe tomorrow. What I'm doing tomorrow? Yeah, y'all might catch the episode tomorrow based after we have the game tonight. We'll go with the Pels in the Blender episode tomorrow, and then we'll catch y'all Thursday also with the fan line episode, man. Come in with your questions, your thoughts. Hopefully we get some. Hopefully they get a win. Hopefully we get some activity. Also, when they got Pels home games, man, if y'all want tickets to the game, hit me up. Let me know. I got y'all. But for me, that's going to do it. Y'all enjoy that Sunday. We got football getting ready to come on. Pats and Broncos. Shout out to Sean Payton. Another great coach in New Orleans let go. Didn't want to leave. Organization wasn't willing to change. They let a great coach go. And just in 3 seasons, he getting ready to possibly go back to the Super Bowl. Shout out to him. And then you got the Rams and fuck the Rams play. Who the Rams playing? Who's the other team? The Rams and I can't think of who it is right now. I'm going blank. That's crazy. The Seahawks. The Seahawks. Rams and Seahawks. Everybody picking the Seahawks. Everybody picking the Seahawks. Either way it go, you could possibly be getting some you could possibly be getting a couple rematches, man. Possibly be getting a couple rematches. But either way, I don't really want to see Sean succeed like that. I'm sorry. I ain't gonna lie. I like Sean Payton and whatnot, but it just killed you to see to see that guy go somewhere and go be great. It just lets you know what you could have been. So go Patriots. And I think I got the Rams, to be honest, because I just like Matt Stafford. I kind of want to see Matt be great. Hopefully the Pels get a win tonight. We'll see. Pels in the blender. I'm A. Davis. Appreciate y'all. I will catch y'all tomorrow. Y'all be safe. Mike Vershawn. That'll be nice. We'll see, though. We'll see. I don't know. Y'all be safe. I'm out. Pels in the blender. A. Davis. Peace.